Hey, I'm Giga, and I'm developing a life simulation game called Life in Clover. There's an emphasis on social interaction and talking to characters. You'll be able to make relationships with the characters in this game, either positive or negative. You can make friends, go on dates, get married, start a family, make enemies, and go adventuring. And the characters you meet can also do all of that with each other as well. So hey, welcome to my second devlog. For this video, I'll be focusing on my inventory system and item interactions. So for the past week, I've been trying to figure out how exactly I want players to interact with items. You can see here that there's a little campfire, or at least a pit of stones. When we interact with it, we get a little GUI that pops up. And initially, I had it set up where it would display the items you need, such as like this, and then there would be a little slot right here where you could take items from your inventory and deposit it right here. And if you had the right item and the right amount of it, you could then turn it on. But I didn't like that because it just, I don't know why, it just didn't seem right. It seemed like a lot of hassle for the player, and also it would just be a lot of hassle for me to keep track of, to have an item keep track of what items it has, and then what if the player had a second thought, right? If they want to take the item back out, that would have been an issue, because then I don't really want each item to have to do that unless it's a chest. So I figured, what can I do to help solve this? And eventually I came to the solution where it just scans the player's inventory right here, and if you have the right items, it'll work. If you don't, it won't, right? Simple. So for this item in particular, it requires 3 wooden logs, and if you press on, it'll turn on. And it took 3 from here. Should have been at 10, right? And it'll tick down on fuel every 3 seconds. Isn't that neat? If we interact with it again, if we click on, it won't take more than it needs to, so you'll see it won't drain your items. And also it, well, let me see if I can get that in view actually. That's good enough. See that? It doesn't increase fuel and decrease it. You can't add to it until, for this particular item, you can't add to it until fuel is 0. You can turn it off, and the fuel will remain like that, if there's any fuel, until you turn it back on. Just turn it back on. No items used. So when it scans your inventory, or when an item scans your inventory, it works between stacks of items as well. So let's just go here. Before I begin, I modified the code for this fire pit to continuously use items when I press on. That's not the intended way it's supposed to work, but for the sake of this example I had to. So let's click on. Alright, it used 3 items. Let's do that again. Okay, so here we have 1 wood and 12 here. So if we click on again, it should take 1 from here, reducing this down to 0 and deleting this item. And this should be down to 10. So there we go. Works between stacks of items as well. So all that was easy enough. Since I had a day-night system working and a clock done, I decided to adjust the light of the campfire depending on the time of day. So here, this is my singleton for my day-night system. I call it world clock. I'm not good at coming up with names for classes or variables. Sorry. So anyway, in my clock script I have a signal that is emitted when the time of day transitions. That's right. When the time of day transitions, a signal is emitted. And this function is called before any of that happens. So here is the signal, time of day update, and anything that needs to listen to it connects to the singleton. It does so easily, so let's just go to my stone fire pit. Yeah, right here, in the ready function when it enters the tree. It connects, and it just adjusts the light of the fire pit. Let's just check it out. So right now it's Sunday morning. Why did I say that? Well, let's turn it on. And yeah, it's working normally. So let's skip forward to the afternoon. Is that changing? Yes, very, wow, very slowly. Let's skip forward to evening, and there we go. Now the change you see in the light, it's gonna look a bit jarring right now. That's because it hasn't, the canvas as it's modulating hasn't gotten to its set destination for it to look natural. In the game, it should, when you're playing, it should feel much more smoother. The transition for the lights to turn on should feel a lot more smoother and more natural. But that's as you're playing, not like this, where I'm debugging everything. But anyway, yeah, it's evening. The light should be at half intensity. It's just changing the alpha. If we go to night, there we go. It goes to full intensity, or full alpha, and it's neat. So every item that's interactable extends from a base class called interactable item. Very creative, I know. And all it is just a boolean that tells you if it's on or not, and a virtual function that's meant to be overridden by whatever item is extending off of this class. So for the stone fire pit, we can find the on interact here. Yeah. We're just switching if it's activated or not, and there's just two if else's. If it is, we show the GUI, if not, we don't. And this is to make it so that setting the player in storage makes it so that if they can move when they're interacting with an item or if they shouldn't be. So my inventory is composed of three scripts. An inventory resource that handles data internally, so moving and setting items. It's all handled by the resource, internally speaking. And all it is just a dictionary of node paths and items. My display handles grouping all the inventory slots together, and the display also handles moving items visually, so you can see if an item is being swapped or set or removed. And the inventory slot is just setting a drag texture, a drag preview. What is it specifically? Yeah, a set drag preview, and it also handles drop data, so putting it wherever it needs to and sending the right information. I moved all of my inventory instances within CanvasLayers, so anything that uses an inventory is within a canvas layer, and that was really troubling because I don't know if it changed something in this most recent update, as of this most recent update, but when I tried using it earlier, several updates ago, for a different project, the UI within the canvas layer would either appear behind the scene, behind all like the terrain, it would appear half working, as in sometimes controls would appear just out of nowhere if you just guessed where it was, or drag previews just wouldn't show up. So I don't know what's happening, but it's working. And if you want to do something similar, here's some things you should look out for. So first, make sure you don't have under follow viewport. Make sure you do not have that enabled, because that doesn't do that doesn't do what you think it does. Okay, well, the only thing that does is break things, as far as I know. And secondly, make sure you put the nodes that you want to appear in the canvas layer in this purple outline. You can see right here. If you, oh, that doesn't disappear. Okay, well, whatever. Yeah, put whatever nodes you want to appear in the canvas layer in this purple outline. And if you have a camera, you might want to, like a camera 2D or a camera 3D, you might want to consider turning that off for now, and just to see this purple outline better, because whatever you put in the canvas layer won't show up where you want it to be unless it's here. Okay, I forgot to mention, if you're having trouble with getting your drag preview to show up in front of your UI, as in if you're dragging something from here, it might appear behind this. show a web page in a second. Wherever you're doing your drag preview, after you set the drag preview, do whatever checks you need to. For me, I had to remove the drag preview child from, in this case, the chest, which is an interactable item. I had to remove it from that, and then add it as a child to my player's inventory node, or its canvas layer. And that way, the drag item would appear above the UI. And also, I set it through the visual server by getting its RID. Otherwise, it just wouldn't appear in front of anything, or in front of the control UI at all. Okay, so after all that, we can finally see the chest working, and when you interact with it, it opens up. Isn't that neat? Woo! We can drag items to it. We can swap items, and they'll swap around. Take items back, and as you can see, it's appearing in front of the control and not behind it. Take these out, or actually, yeah. Let's go over here, and it's still there. So that was surprisingly not as difficult to get working as I thought it would be. It's just, I think the trickiest part was getting the drag preview to appear in front of the control UI. Alright, lastly, we have a lamppost. I'm sure you saw this in the previous video, if you watched the previous video. This is an interactable item, except it doesn't do anything when you interact with it. But it does change when when the time of day changes. So if we click afternoon, it doesn't turn on. And if we click it again, it'll look weird because the canvas is still modulating, but there we go. You should see the area of change by now. My light 2Ds are all using mix lighting, as opposed to what's default, which I think is add. I'm using mix because it doesn't, when you have multiple lights together, or multiple light 2Ds, they don't stack on top of each other, causing the lights to, I guess, accumulate and kind of blow out everything. It kind of just looks like one big nuclear explosion. The trade-off is that the color is somewhat desaturated, I guess, from the add lighting, which I guess is fine. You can just pump up the saturation, I guess. So it was at half intensity in the evening, and at night it goes up to full, which again is just, well, that's, oops. I gotta adjust the Y sorting on that. But yeah, that's neat. Works depending on the time of day. And with that, you've made it to the end of the video. Oh my god! Alright, that was about as much as I wanted to cover for this video. My next video might be about AI and interacting with NPCs, but that depends on how much dialogue I get written up, and also if I finish drawing some portraits, which, here's hoping. The portraits aren't hard, but boy, does the dialogue take a long time to write. There's also certain interactions regarding the AI that I need to finish up. Anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate you making it this far. Really, I just appreciate the fact that you clicked on my video. You might consider checking out my previous devlog, but that's 20 minutes long, and it's really just me rambling and being boring for a whole 20 minutes, so maybe don't. It's up to you. If you liked what you saw, consider following me on Twitter. I'll put a link to that in the description. Like the video, maybe, and subscribe as well. That'd be pretty cool. I need to stop saying I said that in the last video. Oops. Let me know if this devlog was interesting or helpful. I'm really new at this. I'm not used to being the center of attention, and I can't get better at doing this without criticism, and I just said again. Thanks for being here. I'll see you later.